Hi folks, I've got this Remo DoorCam here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to modify this to work on other doors. This is the second one I purchased, and in fact we've got another one on order, and it's made for a home, and it's made for a door that opens in, and I can illustrate that with this door here. So you would just hang it over a door like this, and let's say that this is your home door and your door opens inward, everything is fine. It will hang on the door. It works. These things work really well. Like I said, I've already got one. I'm happy enough with it to order another two. Now the problem becomes when you have the opposite situation. If we have a situation where this is outside and this is inside and our door opens outward, because of the way that this is formulated, you won't be able to close the door. In fact, this way we can get almost all the way closed, but you know the way that this kind of works here, this just won't make this hinge. And on metal doors, it's even worse. Now, in a home situation, it was funny. I saw some people talking on the forum, and they said this guy had caught this problem, and he posted his door open outside. And all the people on the forum said that the person had hung your door wrong. No, that's not quite. So in all the businesses, the doors open outward. And in fact, even if we go to these doors back here, take a look at that door out there. Obviously, it opens outward. And here in Florida, we have a lot of businesses that are very common to have this kind of a metal door like this. We hang this over this metal door, and you see it won't even close to that point right there. So what I did for the first one that I got, and I didn't make a video when I did that one. I said I should have made a video. So now I've gotten two more. I'm going to make a video to show you what I did on the first one. And the net result that I'm going to be doing is bending this bracket so that it will work on a door that opens outward rather than inward. Now what would be better is if the company just made the bracket in a bit of a different way. So instead of making the bracket in an L shape like this, if they make the bracket in what I call a top hat shape, where it would come out like this and then go up and then go like this, then it would work on any door. But so that would be my recommendation for the company. It'd be a one-shot deal. They wouldn't have to make a bunch of different brackets or two different ones. One's for one for this door opening and one for doors that open that way. They just make one and it just have this top hat bracket arrangement. So anyway, I'm going to be showing you here how to do this. It does require a vise and some kind of elbow grease, but it's pretty easy to do. Requires minimal tools, and we'll get to that next. Okay, so the next phase is going to be basically to kind of disassemble this part in preparation for bending the bracket, and that's pretty simple. I'm going to have to kind of refigure it out. You're going to be watching me figure it out, even though I've done this once before. The last time I did it was 6 months ago, and so I've forgotten kind of all of the details. But you take these screws completely out, which will allow this to slide inward and outward, completely sliding completely outward. And also there is you'll notice down here there's a ribbon cable, and this door that holds the ribbon cable closed. We're just going to remove this door, which allows us to unplug the ribbon cable, which should allow this whole thing to come off. And so the next thing, now it may be possible to leave this attached and bend it even while this is attached, but that's not how I did it last time, and that's not how I'm going to do it this time. This is just basically like sticker, like kind of tape / sticker material, and you could just pull this off, and kind of you could be careful because you could put it right back on after you've removed it. And what this reveals is that this is ribbon cable underneath of it. I'll just stick this to the bench. Ribbon cable here, and we could just pull that completely off as well, and it just plugs in like that. So it's just basically ribbon cable, nothing to it, pretty simple. And then I'm going to unscrew these four here. Let's see, maybe this one. Okay. could have picked a better one. Let's see, maybe this one. All right, so now we got the bracket. So now the trick is going to be to bend it. And unfortunately, I don't think there's enough length out here to bend this down and then over. And so we've got to get some of the length from here. So it means we're going to have to basically bend this back flat and then bend this approximately there. So I'm going to use this Sharpie. Last time what I did was I used the Sharpie to just kind of figure out, kind of plan this sucker out. And let's say we put the new bend somewhere in the neighborhood of there. So what I'm going to try to do with this vise is first flatten this out and then make a new bend here. And that's can be a little bit scary when you're flattening the metal out, because it might actually kind of break the metal from just from the kind of the yielding action of the metal or unyielding. We don't have a great vise for this, but just a matter of kind of taking that bend out of there. And I definitely recommend a vise rather than just trying to bend it with your hand. So I'm making some progress on this, as you can see. I might ultimately kind of go back up to here and try to bend the rest of it by hand. And that's not bad. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the beauty of this, is it doesn't really have to be perfect. So that's actually not bad. So then we got to put a new bend here, basically, which will give us some length out here to bend this over this way. And that's something, if you could bend this straight by hand, you definitely can't bend this 90 degrees by hand. So this is where a vise is definitely going to come in, and just a kind of a matter of working it. Unfortunately, my vise doesn't go all the way to the end, so I'm going to do this part little bit by little bit too, left and right. Hopefully iMovie has a fast forward action so people don't have to watch all this boring stuff in real time. Alright, so how's that looking? Well, not bad. Something like that. So now we got our, basically the L bracket's exactly the way it was, only the bend is made a little bit down here to give us some length. So now what we can do is conceivably put it back on there, and you can see that I've got it, got the part wrong already. So you can see that we really haven't taken away any functionality. Nothing has changed. The ribbon cable is still going to go up there. All this is going to be exactly the way it was. The only difference is kind of now this doesn't stick down as much, which is fine. So the next part of this is going to be to figure out where to put the new bend to go down this way. And for this, I'm going to go back to that same door and just kind of identify and just use the Sharpie to put a mark on there, you know, how much length out here I need for that door. All right, so I went to the door and I kind of did one of these numbers on the door and said, okay, how much length do I need, and took the red Sharpie and just kind of sketched it out on this piece of metal. So now what we need to do is bend this down like this, and that's going to be possibly a little tricky, but we'll see what happens here. Chuck this into the vise and right. Not too bad. Once again, due to the nature of the vise not being long enough to capture the whole piece of metal, I'm kind of doing this left and right, one side at a time. And none of this is super critical. That's the beauty of this, is it just it's not really important to get it perfect. It's not going to help anything if it is perfect, not going to hurt anything if it isn't. So let's see. All right, so basically this is going to sit over the door now, and then the last thing we need to do is bend this part in this direction so that this can hang on it, and it's got those screws there. So the only requirement is to leave enough length so that they can be captured by the screws in there. So that'll be next, and I'm just going to eyeball that. Let's see. And you really do want to get kind of enough length in this direction to clear that, you know, that piece of the door jamb that's sticking down and really preventing this thing from closing. So let's see, I'm going to, we'll see if we can get away with something like this here. Let's see. Yeah, in this case I could capture the whole thing. I got a little bit lucky this time. Let's see. Let's see how lucky I got. Looks like the bending has made it tricky to get in there because I've distorted the metal a little bit, but not too bad, I'm sure. I'll be able to get that in shape here. Just kind of has created a little bit of a bow in there, and this is a straight slot here, and any bowing of the metal is going to be somewhat problematic, but I'm sure that will work, and it doesn't look like I've done a great job of that. So it looks like probably I should have come in there a little bit higher, which would have provided more metal to go into there, But you know something? Actually, in this case, I don't even care. And the reason is because as long as the ribbon cable can plug into there, let's see which side of this, the other side, yeah. As long as the ribbon cable can plug into here, make it all the way around to there, and plug into the head, and obviously it can. This part sits outside the door, this part sits inside. It's certainly secure enough, it's not going to fall off. So I'm not even going to worry about these screws right now on this one. On the next one, now that I'm making this video and I'm kind of documenting how far you have to go, on the next one I will provide make this a little bit higher and provide that. And if you really want to, if there was any concern about it, if you do exactly the same thing and do just as bad of a job as I do, might be possible is to get the tin shears, wherever they went off to, and just cut these here, and then just put the screws through here, clamping the, here we go, magic how that happens. So what we'd probably do, if you do just as bad of a job as me and make this kind of a mistake, we can just cut these out. Like this. Put this into here. Looks like I bowed that metal a little bit again. Get it in there. Yeah. And then we could put the screws in there. And one of the things that the screws do is, in addition to going through here, is they kind of clamp the plastic, so it will keep it from coming out. And these screws, this little Allen wrench is the one that came with the device, so you don't have to worry about getting Allen wrench, and that sucker will clamp down on that sucker pretty tightly to the point where it's not coming out. So so that would be a solution, just in case you are a little bit too aggressive with the bends, just like I was. That would be another possible solution here. Okay. So then what I've done is I just put the screws here, just screwed the bracket to the head here. What I'm going to do is go ahead and clean up them Sharpie marks. This is just regular old alcohol. Alcohol cleans off Sharpie, just in case somebody out there didn't know that. And I'll clean the Sharpie off. Noticed some of the Sharpie got onto here too, so clean that up real good. I'm going to do this a little bit out of order. Maybe you should put the cable in first, but I'm going to do it this way. And while I'm at it, I'll make that bracket a little bit easier to go in, just by taking that bend out of there. So all right. Yeah, so those are tight, and that sucker is not going anywhere. So now what I'm going to do is just kind of fold the ribbon cable back in there, while at the same time attaching it. It's got the tape kind of the double face tape that holds it into place. I'll go ahead and plug it in first. This is the out of order part, but I think it might make it easier. So I got the ribbon cable plugged in now. So now I'll just kind of fold it into place. And it's the same length of ribbon cable required, kind of obviously. And then put this protective tape stuff back into place. It's still got the stickiness on it. The bends that will happen in this bracket is a little bit of a different place in the tape, but that's okay. This little plastic sticky shield type thing, just kind of stick it back into place. Like that. And basically, so we got a little cover here, which covers the plug and the ribbon cable, just like that. And let's go check our handiwork out here. So here we are back here at our door, and I could actually show it. It's, let's see, I took so much bend out here that it probably won't work great in this direction, but probably still work somewhat. Yeah, it still works in this direction. And so now, flipping it over, here's the real trial. This is exactly what we were trying to accomplish. So it has these, the bend that I put in here, I didn't get real aggressive on. You can see it fits a little bit loosely here, but that's not a problem. It's got these little holes here that if you really wanted to screw this into a wooden door, you can to secure that so it doesn't really move around, and moving around isn't going to hurt much anyway. So we'll try it here on this metal door, and this is where getting this bend here more square would have come in handy. Let's see, but you just kind of hang it over the metal door here, and it definitely works. It has not gone anywhere. It will work perfectly in that position, and locks up just perfectly and everything. So, yep. So in the future, I really do hope that the Remo company just formulates the brackets this way. It would be perfectly fine. That way it will work on, it could be formulated to work on both doors from both sides. And but in the meantime, this is the kind of thing that you'll have to do to make this work. And so so my mechanical engineer slash cameraman slash attorney wants me to remind you that sheet metal is sharp, and bending things can be difficult, and I take no responsibility for your safety in performing this. I'm just putting this information out there partially as a reminder to myself how the heck I did this the first time, but I hope you find this handy, and I rather hope that the Remo company themselves just makes the bracket this way, because that would just work on both doors and nobody would have to bend anything. So I hope you find this useful. Thank you.